I'm super excited. I can't think of a better guest to have. One of the co-founders of Country Boy, Daniel Harrison.
Back to it.
When we opened in Lexington, we opened in a 995, less than 1,000 square foot tap room. We still operated in downtown Lexington on Chair Avenue.
That's like an apartment, basically.
It's tiny.
Yeah, super tiny.
24 taps. We were a craft beer bar because we only had like 3 of our own beers. We had a bunch of other local brews on.
Which is how it starts, right? Because you got to figure that out, and basically this is what's sticking.
We were brewing on all converted dairy cream separators and like old homebrew equipment, nothing that we bought brand new.
Well, let's talk about that. So you get the new place. You decide, all right, here's our logo, here's our brand. Now we got to find a place. So you get the place, 900 almost less than 1,000 square feet. Equipment. You got to now figure the equipment out, like you said. So
kind of how we started.
You've got no budget, right? Got no money, or you do have some, like some.
We knew that we didn't want to be beholden to anybody else but us.
That's smart.
And quite frankly, the banks wouldn't have given us money because we were, like I said, a bunch of fly-by-night people.
Back then, do you think about it? There wasn't a craft beer. Am I right? There wasn't a craft beer.
Alltech was making, there was brewing, but they didn't have a tap room. They were a much larger facility. There were no microbreweries and tap rooms in Lexington.
So a bank come to you and, hey, we want to make beer. What, they're gonna look at you like, well, buy the Kroger.
We were so scared, and like we didn't know what to be scared of it back then. But I think it was so daunting to think about going to take a loan and have a business plan.
Yeah.
We had been blessed that we'd all saved up a little bit of money, and when I say a little bit, I mean a little bit. Yeah. So we were all personally funded. We opened up on a shoestring.
Big risk.
But bought used equipment, everything that we could. Our brew system was actually new. When I say brew system, it was like pots and kettles we got from a guy named Chris in a place in Michigan. It's a homebrew setup.
But you had a guy that knew how to set this up and how to do all that stuff.
Nate had been working for Alltech when he came back from Japan. I went to work for Galvin's. Nate went to work for Alltech.
All the skills are coming together.
Commercial side
to do
of
it.
it. Jeff was handling our paperwork. He was doing the federal TTB stuff, which is our regulating industry that licenses us, paying our taxes. Evan was working with Nate. Nate was working on the production side of brewing. Evan was coming in with the experimental side of let's see where the industry's going. There's all these crazy hops and all that kind of stuff out there. So both of the brothers took the beer. I took the more of the marketing side of it. Jeff took the administrative side of it. And quite honestly, that's how we were able to grow and pivot and move so quickly because the business changed. It changed from just this tiny little spot,
didn't it?
That we were just slinging pints across the bar to, hey, we want to start distributing. So what's that look like?
I can remember, oh my goodness, I'd say it's 2012. Everybody's talking 2011. I don't know. Everybody's talking about this new place in town, and I can remember literally trying to get in, and I walked away because I couldn't get to the bar.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I said I can't get in here, and plus, so what's amazing is it's not in the best location. I mean, it's a great location for Lexington, centralized, but close to campus and stuff. But
and back then, especially, it was definitely not a good spot.
Right. So you have to want to go there, right? Yes. And that's always a good sign when you see like a place that's in the middle of nowhere. If you call it, this wasn't in the middle, really not in the middle of nowhere, but it's hard to park, And then if you got there early, you get a good parking spot. Then you got to go around and stuff, and it's hard to get in to get a beer. So. It has to be good, there's a big buzz here. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at this place. It's packed. It's hard to get here, and they are killing it. A good quality, cool logo, different, and you stayed consistent with it from there all the way through, and you added to it as
the number one thing. It was great. There's the 4 of us. We all have different skills, trusting each other in the business, growing it. That was all. Our biggest factor why we were able to succeed is the beer was really, really good.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So basically, you switched. You had these old machines, and as you started growing, I think I remember reading, and you had to move because you were outgrowing your area by law. You can only make so much beer at that facility from a licensing perspective, right?
We were able to make more. It was more so than the licensing perspective. It was just the space constraints. I mean, we're every industry is different. If you're in the IT world, you just add a couple servers or something like that and boost your production or your capacity x-fold. For us, you got to have tanks, you got to have kegs, liquid's got to go somewhere. So we were just out of room in that building. And so for us, that's one of the things too that we love to talk about is we really had to sit down and say, okay, what do we want this thing to be?
Yeah.
People have really joined on with the idea. They love the brand. They love the beer. I mean, it's all about the beer. They're behind it. What do we want to do? Do we want to just be 10,000 barrels was the magic number of what we could get out of that facility? we did 500 in 2012, and by like 2015 we were doing 10,000, which is crazy. But do we want to just be that, or do we want to see what else is out there?
Yeah.
And so for us, it was like, hey, we're not ready to say,
you're done.
Right.
We want to keep growing.
As big as it is.
So
And there's not that there's anything wrong with that.
No. But your mindset was to go all in, and basically to go all in. You're like, wow, this is working. Now what you get, you're not getting bored, but you have more challenges. You have more. You want to do more. Am I right?
100%. That's why I don't want to say this in a way that comes off the wrong way or presents the wrong feeling. But like, I understand that there are some people in some types of businesses and some ambitions that you say, hey, I want the business to be this big, and I don't want it to be any bigger because of whatever mitigating factor.
Yeah.
And that's totally fine.
Yeah.
But for us, and for me personally, I can't understand that. I'm not wired that way. People always ask, did you ever think Country Boy Brewing would be this big? Absolutely not. How big do you want it to be? I don't know, man. I want to sell beer on the moon one day because I don't know any other way to be.
That's because you're a business owner, right? Entrepreneur. You want to keep growing because it's you have the opportunity and you have the passion, right?
And there's so many other things that I think we want to do, and the business is getting more fun, I think.
Well,
and as it changes and it evolves, as the market changes and evolves. I mean, the market is the other thing too. Is the market in 2020 is so vastly different than 2012. You can't open a brewery like we did 2020. If you were to open up with homebrew equipment and make the beer like we were making in 2012, you're not going to last 5 minutes because the customer's different, the atmosphere's different, the market's different.
Their professional taste buds won't allow it.
Everybody in Central Kentucky is more educated in their beer knowledge.
So let's talk about that real quick. So you from I know we're I want to go into the Georgetown facility, but so 2012, all of a sudden between there and now, you have all these other businesses opening up doing craft beer, and what I think is amazing and something that I see in my field, you helped out. You helped them grow. You guys collaborated. Because you guys know at the end of the day, you can only do so much, and there's so many people in Central Kentucky and in Kentucky that you can't serve all of them. So to have your industry to support it, I think is really cool too. And I see that industry, the craft industry, they all support each other some way or fashion with marketing each other's brand, or having your brew with them, and stuff. And it's really cool.
Well, we got a lot of help, like I said. There's a guy named Brian Holton. He owns Monic Brewing Company, which is based in Louisville right now, just expanding to Indiana. He started with a small brewery in Danville that was called the Beer Engine. A lot of people don't know there were actually 2 breweries in Danville that were ahead of their time, like in 2009, 2010. Brian basically, quite literally, wrote the book on how to open up a brewery tap room in the state.
Wow.
Worked with the ABC, because before then you're going to be a microbrewery or a brew pub, right? You're going to have food and you're going to make your own beer. And we're like, no, this is hard for some folks in Lexington back then. For us to get our point across was like, listen, you're going to be a microbrewery in a brew pub. No, we're just going to make our own beer and sell it. What are people going to eat there? Let us worry about that. But we're just going to be a bar that makes its own, right? Yeah. Brian really, really helped us out, showed us how he did it. Folks at Alltech and Dr. Lyons, who passed away a couple years ago, was a huge advocate of ours and a great friend. Always took every opportunity to make sure that he helped, because they had resources, of course, that we will never have.
Yeah.
With the $1 billion company that Alltech had to back the brewery with. And so when other breweries said I can remember when Andrew Bishop and Brandon Flown were, 2 regulars of ours that would bring their home brew in plastic bottles into the bar when I was bartending at the brewery in Lexington. Like, hey, DH, what do you think about this beer? You like it? We're home brewers. We want to start our own brewery.
So that's like somebody giving them hey, can you listen to my CD or my tape? I want my demo here to see what you think about it.
Exactly.
So they'll do that. Now,
I met with them.
How's that make you feel?
It's awesome because those 2 guys are ethereal, right? That's.
Oh, are you serious? That is awesome.
That's the owners, right? Blue Stallion. My partner Evan kind of hooked those guys up a little bit, at least initially, with each other, people that were like-minded in the industry. Derek DeFranco used to come and help brew at night with Derek Jones, one of our brewers, guys. And that's the guy that started Mirror Twin. And we could go on with, and our friends at West 6 have been just as influential in helping out as well.
And all of them have a little bit different.
We're all going at the same thing, which is amazing craft beer with a different ethos and with a different
Isn't that
mindset.
awesome? Yeah, and it works.
and there's room for it.
Yeah, there is.
You know, in Kentucky, we're still at like a 6% market share, which means 94 out of every 100 beers drank are still not locally owned, and they're still mass market products, which tells me there's a whole lot more meat on the bone here in Kentucky.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Kentuckians love Kentucky things. You know, the only people that may like their state more than us is Texans, because they really like Texas. But there's a lot of growth that can be had here, and for us, it's an effort and an exercise in futility if we're fighting each other. Because what we're really doing is just educating people and saying, hey, man, there's a lot of other great beer out there. Being negative doesn't help anybody. There's a lot of great mass market beer out there.
Yeah.
But you should be drinking Kentucky beer made by Kentucky people.
Yeah, support local.
Here in Kentucky. Because that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
So you guys grew out of the Lexington office, your Lexington facility, and the Georgetown facility. We won't talk much about that because we can talk all day about it. But guys, if you have not been to the Georgetown facility or that location, it is awesome. It's so family friendly. On the weekends, it's just it's an event. You go out there.
It's a lot of fun.
Lots of stuff. On the summertime, even in the wintertime, you do stuff outside a little bit here and there. But there's cornhole. There's events that you do. There's always great music. There's a huge, well, not huge area, but there's a great area for merchandise. You can get all your Country Boy stuff there.
Yeah.
But what blows me away, and something I see is of all the places, they're all your beers, right? Everything on that list. Am I correct there?
Yeah, all 24 now.
24 now, and it's all your brews. And there's probably, there's bigger sellers than other sellers, but they all sell, and so that's a big thing. So tell us a little quick about the Georgetown facility.
Yeah, so like I said, we knew. We had that talk where we all sat down and said, hey, we're at 10,000 barrels. We're at capacity here in Lexington. What do we want to be? What do we want the future of Country Boy to be? What do we want our futures to be? And I think we all just kind of said, hey, man, like, I don't know where this thing's going to end up, but we're not done yet. So let's see what else we can do.
So instead of stopping right there and say, all right, let's just keep doing this and just, busting at the seams, you're like, another risk.
So now
let's
here's
go.
What we do.
Let's go all in.
5 years in, we're like, okay, quite literally, all the chips are on the table. We're going to take a big loan. We're going to go with a system that's probably bigger than we need right now. We're going to go to a 50-barrel brew house from a 10-barrel brew house that we had. We're going to build a facility from scratch. I've never built a building before. What am I doing?
Yeah, right. It's a risk, right? But you don't care because you're going to do it.
Right,
that's what's in your mind.
We're going to go sign this gigantic, loan, and we're going to go in debt that we may never get out of. Right. But this is the dream, man.
To serve beer.
Right.
To create beer.
So I think we all sat around for like a nanosecond. We're like, this sounds scary. Let's do it. Right. What are we waiting on?
That's another thing that's so great is you guys, you kind of met from other areas. You know how rare it is for people that really don't know each other growing up, for the most part, to stick together and to have the same, I'm going to say mindset again, to do it I'm going to say the right way, but the way that all fits your all style.
To this
and
day.
not fight and stuff. And maybe you do a little bit internally, but
I'm
at
not
the end
going
of
to
the
sit
day,
here and lie and say we've never had an argument, but I will tell you, and this is the truth, we've never had an argument that wasn't rooted in beer. Yeah. Right. So we've never had that was like, hey, how should we market this beer? What should this beer taste like? Is this beer good? Is it not good? We've never had an argument about any of the other ancillary stuff that a lot of my brewing friends tell me horror stories about. We've been so blessed because at the end of the day, all four of us, and now the huge team that we have that works for us, that it's a lifeblood and the engine behind the place.
Great culture, yeah.
Everybody's moving towards the same thing, which is we want to make the best beer in America. We want to sell it as fresh and as pure and as quick as possible. Now, how do we do that? Yeah. And so it's rare. I agree, and we've just been so blessed, man.
It's great. It just shows that you picked the right people to pursue the vision.
Like I said, we thought about that for a nanosecond. Sure, let's sign our name. Where do we sign? Let's build Georgetown.
So you built Georgetown and
broke ground March 30th of 2016. We actually were open February 10th of 2017. So we built it in less than a year. We didn't build it. Our friends at Judy Construction built it in less than a year. Like I said, I know nothing about building buildings. This is where Jeff's strengths come in again.
Yep. That's awesome.
Jeff is a design background, so he can play with CAD, and he's doing all this stuff that we're trying to make the system and the whole layout of the place.
And you're like, oh, that looks good. Let's do that.
Oh, you're asking me like what kind of light fixtures do I want? I'm like, I don't know, dude. Just leave them empty, and then once it's built, we'll come in, and then I can see it because I'm not a visionary. Like, and I get people throw a lot of stuff around. Like, DH, you're this great visionary and entrepreneur. Like, I'm not. I'm just a simple kid from Sadieville, man. Like, I have great ideas. I think from time to time, few and far between. But like, I can't like look at a space and much like you and Zoe did here with this place. Yeah. Like, I don't have that kind of vision. I come in and I'm like, dang, this place is awesome. So,
to their credit, I just said, all right, we need something that's I want to say fresh, boutique, 2019 at the time, 2020, like you tell me what we need to do and we'll do it. Like the lights up here, I wasn't a big fan of these Sputnik lights that we have in the office, but we get so many compliments,
Right.
and I'm like, you know what? Those when they put them up, I was like, man, those are pretty cool.
Same way, we had a great architect and a designer. His name's Tom Cruise, not that one.
Yeah.
But he just and quite literally translated our vision for what we wanted Georgetown to be into brick and mortar.
Yeah.
Which is a production facility, but it's still cool. It looks
It's
neat.
great. It's amazing.
We, like I said, opened in February 10th, 2017. We missed being open because we opened February 12th. We opened February 17th in Georgetown. In Lexington in 2012, we opened February 10th. We missed being open 5 days to the day by a week exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
We could have opened the week before. We didn't have bathrooms at the time, which we thought were pretty vital if you sell here.
Yeah, you're going to have to do something.
So,
Porta potties or something out there.
But we're going on 3 years in the Georgetown facility coming up next month, which is, it sounds insane for me to say.
Well, it helps us because Georgetown's grown that way. So one of the first things we say is, hey, you'll be close to Country Boy and Toyota. And I always say Country Boy first and not Toyota. I don't know why. But
it's one of those pinch moments for me. Like someday I'm going to wake up, right? But I'm a Scott County kid. I graduated from Scott County High School. I get to operate a business in my hometown.
Living your dream, man. It's
you know, like the fact that people are like, you can come buy a house that's close to this brewery. Like that's how people actually say that. Like,
absolutely.
Like, it's a pinch yourself moment for us.
It is.
Because like I said, I think, you know, our success and, you know, telling the story of how we got started has been key with the people we brought along with us.
Yeah.
Translating that vision from our minds into the culture that it is, and then being able to adapt and move forward. I said that earlier, you know, it wasn't, you know, I can't say I did this when we started the business, but it's only been the last couple of years that I've been comfortable with what I'm good at, what I'm not good at. And it's not a weakness at all. I think that's my biggest strength.
I get it.
That
I
I've
totally
got
get
now
it. Yeah. And hopefully people listening can understand and get that as well.
Yeah, it's not a negative if you're not good at part. I mean, look at the four of us.
You're human. Yeah.
You know, Nate and Evan they're not zealous about it, but they're not awesome public speakers because that's not their role.
And they don't want to be.
Right?
Yeah, they want somebody else to do that.
If you put me into what Nate and Evan do, dude, we're in the Stone Age. We couldn't get now because where their strengths are there.
Yeah. Jeff,
you know, is a little older than us, runs the administrative stuff at the brewery. I'm the dreamer, the spender. We're going to do this. Jeff is my bring back down to earth.
Yeah.
I'd love to give him a hard time, but 99.999% of the time, Jeff's right with whatever his opinion is because he's extremely good with the financial mind. And I think that's the key is if you surround yourself with those people that round out your rough edges, can fill in those gaps where you're
Absolutely.
not good. I used to think I was the best manager. This is funny. Like I'm the best manager of people. I'm the one that can handle the employees. But I'm a yes man.
Yeah,
me
too.
Bit too much.
You're too nice.
Right,
you know, I'm the nice guy.
I smile a lot.
That's me.
Know, like I'll overcommit us to stuff. I'll lead people along, and like I'm not doing it intentionally, but by me saying, "Hey, that's great," or whatever, I may commit us to do something, and I'm terrible at taking notes, and so then somebody thinks I'm going to be somewhere we don't. Right?
Yeah.
And so it was. I had to bring, and then that's where I have to realize, listen, I'm not the best manager and God's gift to earth when it comes to business management. We should bring Jason Hammond on board. He's our taproom manager who's excellent at it. You know, CJ's our controller, CJ Hoban, now Scott County resident from Louisville.
Yeah.
Running the financial aspects and our key accounts at the brewery.
Because you're going to have to start having those folks because you're for real now. I mean, you know, this is, you're starting to become a mega company, mega business. So you got to have those right folks in there to do that, which is part of growing a business and looking forward. One of the things I want to touch base on real quick, and I know you can't, you know, we could do this all day. What we talked about was, guys, if you're listening still, so hopefully somebody's going to listen to this whole thing, right?
My mom's
we'll get one
sure.
person. I'd say I'm going to make my team listen to it, just just for the fun. No, I'm just kidding. But one of the things I'm trying to pound into people's head for this episode is the fact that, and I knew this was where we're going to go, is the fact that one, to do something this grand, you have to know what you're good at, and then surround yourself, guys, with people that are good with other stuff. But you also have to figure out what you want to do. And the fact that you had some experience to help with your skill set, and you knew what you're good at, and you were smart enough, and you guys, when I say smart enough, I don't want to say that, but you were savvy enough to have the other folks around kind of create that mega circle, if you want, to start this. Everybody had a strength of their. What I want to get real quick is give them, if you can, because this sounds so perfect, you know, and you guys were just, you know, what are some do nots or some things that you could say to folks? Hey, this is, if you are going to start something, whatever that is, what in a business, whether it be doing a craft beer business or I don't know, some other kind of business where you can like partner with some folks. From a business perspective or an entrepreneur perspective, what can you suggest or what can you provide the audience in regards to what maybe not to do based on some of your experiences?
Right. I think the number one thing that I would say to somebody else that, whether it's a cautionary tale or stuff that we've learned from, I think the devil's greatest tool that he uses is to tell us to wait. And you can take that in any aspect in multiple scenarios of your life, right? But don't wait. Nate and I always, we would come and sit at the bar in Japan with Nate and drinking beer and being like, man, if we start this now, and this is like 2007, I was like, by the time 2015 comes around, we could have a real brewery. Well, we did it by 2012 because I think, and a lot of it was meeting Jeff and him kicking us in the butt and saying, listen, guys, if we're going to do this, let's do it, right? I would much rather in 10 years fast forward to look back and be like, man, we gave it a try. We tried to start a brewery and it didn't work for whatever reason. Yeah. Time wasn't right. We screwed it up. Who knows what it could have been.
Seize the moment.
I would much rather look back in 10 years and be like, we tried that. We gave it our all. And man, it just failed. We fell flat on our face rather than in 10 years be like, what if?
Right. Oh, exactly. Right? Exactly. Then you're sitting back like, man, I couldn't.
That what if is the real killer, right? Like, when you hear all the cliche stuff about people on their deathbeds and what do they want, or they wish they would have taken more risks, they would have ate that second scoop of ice cream or whatever it is. But in any aspect, I would just say if you got something in your heart, if you got a drive, just don't wait on it.
No,
give
you
it
can't.
A, give it a
I
try.
love that. I love that.
Whether it's this is very personal with me and my dad right now. I'm trying to get him to get in shape.
Mm-hmm.
Don't wait. Get up and get to the gym. Don't wait on telling that person something that you've had on your mind and on your heart for a long time because they may not be there. Right. If you've got a business idea, if you're mired in the day-to-day of whatever you're doing, and I don't want to be like, oh, I don't like my job, get a new one. But if that's the case, don't wait and do it, right? Like just give it. And I'm not saying be irresponsible because there is a fine line between being irresponsible with something and pursuing your dreams.
Yeah, I love it.
And every person's got to find that. But at least put yourself on a trajectory to where you're going to pursue that. Whatever that spark is that's inside of you, rather than just sitting there and saying "what if" and daydreaming.
That trajectory is interesting. So I have a lot of friends that I worked with at Company X. I'm going to say Company X, and they're as Company X changed in regards to layoffs and hiring managers from inside and not looking outside. The culture changed and the skill sets changed, and people that were doing a job for a long time. As it changed, they're doing jobs that really don't fit their skill sets anymore, but they have to move and stay there. And they're always talking to me about, man, you did it and you jumped out. Well, I was kind of forced out in a way. I looked around and there was nothing available. I interviewed for a few jobs and stuff. And at the end of the day, I was like, I don't want to go to a position within Company X that I know I'm going to fail at because that's all that's available. And I just like, I've got to take this risk. I got to jump. And it was risk after risk after risk. But in the back of my mind, to me, it really wasn't a risk. It was me living and me knowing what Company X taught me, which I was good at, and what taught me what I was bad at, helped me do that. So guys, if you're listening to this, and you're kind of stuck in a position that you're not really happy with, or if you want to grow that position, why wait? Take that risk now, because like he said, you hear so many motivational speakers talk. They're all over social media. One of the biggest things is that, hey, why be on your deathbed? And the biggest regret is not starting that business or learning that language or whatever it is. Learning how to maybe swim. I don't know, but doing something that you regret to do. You only live once, right? And you have the perfect time right now in history to run a business, to do this, and to do it right. So I think that's some really, really good advice to give folks.
Step out of your comfort zone.
Absolutely.
It is uncomfortable. That's why they call it the comfort zone. When you're outside of it, it's no longer comfortable anymore.
And if you make a mistake, guess what? What's great about it is you learn from it. Right. And then basically, you might make it again, but if you make it 3 times, well, that's probably, but you keep learning from your mistakes. And it's great to make those mistakes, because if you don't, you're never going to learn. So, one of the things we tell folks in our real estate world is, I always say, hey, who loves to win when I teach a class? And everybody raises their hand. And then I kind of set them up and I ask them, well, who hates to lose? Raise your hand. And they all raise their hand. I hate to lose. I hate to lose. And then I tell them in the class, well, you're probably in the wrong business if you hate to lose, because you're going to lose in our business, in this field, you're going to lose 10 times a day. And in those 10 times, you're going to win maybe once. But that's what it is. You understand that. It's part of the business. And you basically do what you can to win, but you stay even keeled. You know what I mean? So basically, it always works itself out, or you basically have, that session. So
the other thing, and then I'm going to throw this in at the end, if I could say, and I know you guys have done it, and this is why I enjoy talking to you and why I'm, could talk for 5 hours, is I think, our success, both as a brewery, my success personally, if I've had any, has all been surrounding myself with positive people.
That's another episode. We're gonna get into, don't get into too much in that, because I want to have that part of positive people. But keep talking. That is so key. That is so key to have a positive influence. If you have negative folks in your life,
right, and they're kind of inextricably tied together, because those positive influences and positive people in your life will push you towards that uncomfort zone and help you not to wait.
Well, because you're a human, and you're gonna have to have some motivation. You're gonna have to have some influence to make sure that, at least, whether it's a good idea or a bad idea you're trying to pursue, at least encourage you to keep going forward with it. So before we leave, I want to make sure we've got this is our 5 random crazy questions. Part of each guest, we're going to do 5 questions, and basically we're going to try to get to know you a little bit better.
Okay.
And so, question number 1 of our 5 random crazy questions.
Is this it's like rapid fire? Do I like?
Maybe. I might agree, I might not agree, but I'm kind of interested. And each guest is going to have different crazy questions.
Okay.
So the first one, what's your favorite drink besides beer? If you had to choose something else to drink, and it can't be water, because everybody's going to say water.
I was going to say, in my house, we drink an obscene amount of carbonated water, whether it's Kroger brand, LaCroix, Dasani. I enjoy, anything, right? Like, I'm from Kentucky, so I probably should say bourbon, but I'm not a bourbon guy. We drink a lot of tea because of the Japanese influence, but I'm going to double down and say, if I'm not having a beer and I want to have a nice relaxing drink, I'm going to have a White Russian.
Oh, wow. Right? Okay. All right, little Big Lebowski.
Yeah,
right?
don't
a little
dude,
actually.
But that's what I'm going to relax with.
That's
if
awesome.
I got a fire roaring, it's a chilly night outside, pour me a nice White Russian.
The dude, all right.
With half and half.
All right.
No whole milk. We're going all in.
Oh, okay.
We'll go to the gym tomorrow.
That's right. I got it. All right, here's another one. Number 2, how do you like your eggs?
Oh, we're easy. There's only one way to have it.
That's cool.
I'm one of those people too. Like, I'm a bad person to ask about food, because, like I said, my wife's Japanese, and we literally eat anything. So, like, sometimes we eat our eggs raw. We can do whatever. But I'm a bad person to ask about food, because there's literally nothing that I won't eat and don't like. So
I'm
on the opposite spectrum of some folks.
There's a lot there that I can't eat.
What's the word of not picky? Yes, that's what I'll have.
All right, favorite color. This is the
Blue.
Silly one. I love that. Yeah.
Orange is the brewery color, all that kind of stuff. But
why orange? Real quick, is it just because it pops?
It's what Cody picked.
Yeah. Is it
like I said, no thought put into it. Cody picked it.
Gotcha. Understand.
But yeah, I'm a UK grad. My mom's a UK grad. My dad's a UK grad. My sister's a black sheep of the family. She went to seminary at Asbury. But the rest of us, we rock blue.
I gotcha. All right, favorite pastime when you're not working? I already know what this is, yeah, because I see your post. Easy. So fishing. So what's your favorite fish to catch, or what do you have a preference?
Like I said, I'm a Scott County kid. Fishing the Elkhorn Creek is always, the Elkhorn's the most undervalued and underutilized resource that we have in Central Kentucky. So I love that. But I've really gotten into redfish fishing in South Carolina.
Oh, okay.
I'm addicted to it. But yeah, fishing is my
See, I'd love to
my
fish.
life's work. If I would rather fish than do anything in the world. I can fish and not drink and not eat and not sleep, and I'll never get tired of it. I think I'm a machine in that aspect. And I think I've passed that love on to my son Wiley. So
that's great. That's great.
Fun years going forward of us fishing together.
Fishing was 5 minutes. I could catch something. That'd be great. But I start talking to people. I'm hey, be quiet. You're gonna scare the fish away. I just can't shut up.
You're fishing.
And then I'm just basically nervous energy and stuff. All right, last question. Coolest place you've ever been?
Oh, man. Like I said, I'm so blessed because I've been to so many cool places. I've got to see a lot of cool stuff. My parents were extremely irresponsible and let me backpack Europe willy-nilly when I was like 18. The world was different back then than it is now.
Yeah.
Coolest place I've ever been. I got to take a boat trip with my dad when he turned 50 up the Amazon.
Really?
We started
kidding?
in Manaus and went to a town called Santorini, and we got on a boat. Like, have you ever seen that cheesy movie Anaconda?
I've seen it like
with that
many
open
times.
air boat with Jennifer Lopez. It's a terrible movie, but there's like this open air. That's like,
John Voight.
Yes. We got on a boat just like that, and for 10 days we went up the Amazon and like hiked in the jungle and hung out with the Indians. And
that convenience store there, you can get yourself some moon pie and an Ale-8 or anything like that.
Nothing. I mean, we were off the grid, dude. Like,
no way.
When I say like we just
cool.
went to the jungle and hiked into these villages that had never seen white folks before, it was nuts. I don't know how I ended up there. I got to go with some great friends of mine, but I'd say probably the Amazon's the coolest place I've ever been.
I can't argue.
I was just young and naive.
Again,
everything in Amazon can eat you, and I didn't realize it at the time. I think I was too young.
Even the little bugs can eat you all day long. So anyway, well, guys. DH, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
For coming on, and
I enjoy talking to you as always, and picking your brain and getting to tell our story of the brewery.
We'll probably talk a little afterwards. Come by anytime. We'll probably have another show where we'll bring you back to talk about maybe something else in regards to, doing what you love, loving what you're doing. The
power of positivity,
living your best life. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of pieces in each episode. They're going to have those types of folks on there to kind of show other people that you're not alone. You just have to.
Awesome.
You just have to basically take the risk for the most part, know what you want to do, and then just stick with it, and just basically have the passion to do it. So, guys, thanks so much for joining, and thank you, DH, again for coming to the show and sitting down and talking to us. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a great time doing this. More shows to come. Live your best life. Do what you love what you do. We'll see you guys later.
Appreciate you.
Like that.